This book is, just came out, but the pictures, the work that was done to make the book, where it came from, started really in 1989. It was one of the first projects I did after I came to work at Muhlenberg in '83. It came out of my interest. I had been interested even before that in industrial sites, industrial history, industrial imagery. Why, it's hard to say. There's a kind of, I would use the word affinity for the visual, like what does it look like? These big industrial spaces and machines and technology had this kind of fascination for me ever since I was very young. Within a couple of years, I sent a letter to the steel company, and I said, I'd like to do photos here. This is very beautiful in its own way, evocative, fascinating. I did, within a couple of years, then connect with an industrial historian who was in the area named Lance Metz, who was a local person, knew everybody, and also was connected with industrial historians and architectural historians in Washington who were part of the National Park Service. So he could make the contact, he could generate the support and say, this place should be documented because of its historical value. And we know it's declining, we know it's not going to last. It should be documented now. Each summer we would be able to go back. Lance was able to find a little funding from the Pennsylvania Historic and Museum Commission. The steel company was still willing to let us go. So we had essentially about a 6-year period of pretty open access. I was coming at it from an artistic point of view, like I want to make beautiful pictures. I want to look at the forms and the spaces. He was like, well, you have to get this machine because it did this particular process and they made beams in this way and so on. So I had to balance those two parts, the art side and the documentation historical side. You're trying to communicate. So for me to have made these images and know that they're going to be able to be seen in the future in various ways and that they do provide some kind of memory, if you want to call it that, is pretty significant. I feel like I was lucky to be there at the time I was because I couldn't do it now. It's just, it happened and it's done. Plans, documents, photographs, which are really kind of flimsy. They're kind of like pieces of paper and plastic negatives and glass plates, but somehow they're able to survive longer than these real heavy structural things. So there's kind of something I don't know, fascinating about that to me.